Old nutrition advice that ages poorly. For decades, seniors received the same set of dietary rules. Avoid eggs, steer clear of fats, and cut salt to the bare minimum. That message sounded responsible, but it wasn't written specifically for older adults. These standards were created for broader populations in middle age and later extended to seniors without much adaptation. The intent was prevention, but now, updated research highlights that such population-wide advice didn't account for individual genetics or the changes brought on by aging. What was once a generalized caution has become, for many older adults, a source of unintended harm. Take dietary fats as an example. For years, advice told people to reduce fat as much as possible. Seniors who adopted strict, low-fat diets often noticed they didn't just lose weight, they lost energy, muscle strength, and stability. Fats aren't simply calories to be cut. They play a role in absorbing fat-soluble vitamins such as A, D, E, and K. Without them, the body struggles to maintain bone health, immune function, and vision. For someone whose DNA already makes vitamin D metabolism less efficient, the combination of genetics plus a low-fat diet doubles the disadvantage. The issue wasn't willpower. It was advice that overlooked the biology of individuals who needed those nutrients most. Eggs illustrate the same mismatch. They were discouraged because of cholesterol concerns, and many older adults cut them from breakfast for years. Yet eggs provide choline, a nutrient essential for brain health, nerve signaling, and memory support. Some people rely on dietary choline more than others due to how their genes regulate its production. For them, avoiding eggs didn't protect against heart disease. It actually removed one of the simplest ways to protect cognitive function. Studies tracking long-term outcomes now suggest that removing eggs entirely offered little benefit for most and may have deprived certain groups of vital support for memory. Moderation, not total exclusion, better reflects current evidence. Salt has been another long-standing target. Low-sodium diets were promoted as universally protective, but sodium balance is more complex in older bodies. Kidneys, hormones, and fluid regulation can all shift with age, and genetic differences add another layer. For some seniors, cutting salt too aggressively can result in low blood pressure, dizziness, and higher fall risk. A fainting episode caused by sodium imbalance can do more damage than moderate sodium ever would. Large reviews continue to show that a balanced intake designed around individual needs is safer than applying strict restriction across the board. What unites these examples, fats, eggs, salt, is that none of them deserve a label of good or bad in isolation. Each has roles that can be beneficial or harmful depending on who is consuming them. Some foods once demonized turn out to be protective for seniors in certain situations. Healthy fats enhance absorption of key vitamins, eggs provide choline support, and sodium remains essential for fluid balance. The reality is that nutrition in older adulthood is about calibration rather than bans. This is where genetics and personalized nutrition change the conversation. Old rules assumed a uniform population. They didn't account for the fact that many older adults carry variations in how they process vitamins, maintain electrolyte balance, or manage cholesterol. With testing, these individual differences can be identified clearly. One senior might need added healthy fats to support bone strength. Another might benefit from regular egg consumption to maintain memory. A third might be safer continuing with a moderate sodium intake. None of these personalized adjustments require extreme diets. They require seeing the body's needs as unique instead of average. A simple genetic panel, when paired with a clinician's input, can turn years of restrictive eating into a new plan built around support instead of deprivation. And the broader patterns of research are consistent with this shift. Large cohort studies in recent years, including reviews published in 2025, continue to highlight that balanced, nutrient-rich patterns like the Mediterranean, DASH, and MIND diets correlate with healthier aging trajectories. These diets do not ban entire food groups. Rather, they emphasize variety, moderate fat intake, fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and protein sources that include both plant and animal origin. They show that broad health outcomes improve when older adults follow balanced eating plans tailored to their capacity, while rigid restriction without context often backfires. The evidence favors moderation, informed by science, not the blanket prohibitions of the past. The lived experiences of many older adults reflect these findings. Consider someone who followed a low-fat, low-salt regimen, faithfully yet developed fractures from weakened bones and struggled with fatigue. Contrast that with a peer who included fats, eggs, and moderate sodium but maintained strength, steadiness, and memory. The difference lies not in dedication but in how their diets aligned or failed to align with underlying biology. These outcomes often get chalked up to luck or aging, when in reality, they stem from decades of following rules that were detached from individual needs. The emotional toll of misplaced nutrition advice cannot be ignored either. Many seniors gave up favorite foods, believing these sacrifices would lengthen their independence. When health still declined despite their effort, frustration, and discouragement set in. With updated understanding, it's now possible to see that those sacrifices often removed exactly what the body required. Restoring foods like eggs, moderate salt, or balanced fats can feel not only like a physical relief, but like a return of freedom at the table. Rather than stripping meals of enjoyment, nutrition becomes an ally, a set of practical choices that actually reinforce resilience instead of draining it. The striking part is how accessible personalization already is. A cheek swab for DNA can offer insight on whether someone needs extra support metabolizing B vitamins, handling sodium, or making choline. These results don't demand major overhauls. They suggest measured changes, adding healthy oils at breakfast, including eggs a few times a week, or staying mindful of but not fearful about salt. It's about clarity, not restriction. When paired with professional guidance, this information allows older adults to make decisions that reduce frailty, sustain energy, and preserve memory more effectively than following yesterday's headlines about food villains. The consequences of ignoring this shift remain visible in mobility and cognition. Frailty, fractures, and higher rates of institutional care track closely with seniors whose diets lack the nutrients most relevant to their genetic or age-related vulnerabilities. The opposite is also true. Those whose diets adapt to their biology are more likely to maintain independence and a higher quality of life. Research reinforces what everyday observation already suggests. There is no universal senior diet, only patterns that work better when tuned to the individual. Nutrition advice, more than almost any other area of health, illustrates how fast science evolves and how slowly policy follows. Rules written decades ago persisted long after evidence suggested they needed revising. But seniors today do not have to remain bound to outdated charts. With both genomic insight and updated dietary models, meals can again be built to serve the body rather than undermine it. Health becomes less about restriction and more about balance, and food regains its place as both nourishment and enjoyment. And while food shapes strength and memory in powerful ways, there is still another area where older adults tend to underestimate their potential: daily energy. Many assume that fatigue is simply built into the aging process. Yet often what feels like inevitable decline has precise, correctable causes. Energy doesn't have to retire before you do. Energy doesn't have to retire before you do. Many older adults accept fatigue as the final word on aging, but in reality, it often reflects obstacles that can be measured, explained, and in many cases improved. Low stamina, foggy concentration, and the habit of nodding off in the afternoon are not always the signs of decline they're assumed to be. They are frequently signals that certain nutrients are not being converted into the forms your body requires, leaving your system running on half power without you realizing why. One of the most common explanations lies in how some genetic variations affect basic nutrient pathways. For example, when folate exists in foods or supplements as folic acid, it must be converted into its active form, methylfolate, before cells can use it. But for seniors who carry a common MTHFR variant, that conversion step operates inefficiently. No matter how much folic acid is consumed through diet or multivitamins, the usable form falls short. And so do energy levels. On paper, intake looks sufficient. Inside the body, the system remains shortchanged. This mismatch often shows up as persistent fatigue, brain fog, or even mood changes that people attribute to nothing more than age. Vitamin B12 provides another clear example. It is necessary for red blood cell formation, nerve signaling, and steady cognitive performance. But B12 from food or standard pill supplements depends on a series of steps to be absorbed and converted. Stomach acid, intrinsic factor, and enzymatic changes must all function together. And each of those processes typically weakens with age. When genetic differences are layered on top, the result is especially pronounced. That means seniors may take B12 daily, yet remain functionally deficient. The consequences range from tiredness and poor memory to balance problems, and numbness in the hands or feet. Clinical guidance notes that older adults often absorb B12 less effectively from food and many supplements, and in some cases injectables or methylated forms are recommended by a clinician to bypass those barriers. This is how a nutrient central to energy can be overlooked even by people following all the usual health instructions. The encouraging part is that once these limitations are identified, adjustments can be straightforward. For those with folate issues, switching from folic acid to methylfolate allows immediate uptake. For B12, using methylcobalamin or hydroxycobalamin, rather than the synthetic cyanocobalamin, provides the body with a version that is absorbed and activated more easily. When these substitutions are made under guidance, seniors often report sharper clarity, steadier energy across the day, and renewed focus. That shift doesn't require expensive therapy or drastic changes. It's simply giving the body what it was unable to process before. These changes do not erase aging or eliminate every cause of fatigue. What they do is remove one of the most common and preventable burdens. Testing often helps identify correctable nutrient processing issues, but it is not an all-encompassing solution. Fatigue has many possible roots: medication side effects, hormone shifts, cardiovascular strain, and lifestyle patterns contribute too. That is why clinicians now emphasize integrating genetic and nutrient testing as one part of a larger evaluation. When it reveals something actionable, it can offer years of improvement. When it does not, the search for other explanations continues. Either way, it prevents resignation and keeps the door open for solutions. Untreated fatigue doesn't just make seniors feel sluggish, it alters the course of independence. Tiredness discourages daily activity, which weakens muscles and bones. Once strength declines, mobility follows, and reliance on others increases. This cycle is rarely blamed on missing nutrients because the signs are so gradual, but reintroducing correct forms of folate or B12 can interrupt that progression. Seniors who previously avoided walks outside begin to notice they can manage a longer distance. Tasks that once required resting between steps become possible again with continuity. Preserving energy in this way becomes less about extending youth and more about maintaining the confidence to keep moving unassisted. Mental health is equally affected. Older adults who feel too drained withdraw from social activities, not by choice but by necessity. They miss gatherings, decline invitations, and reduce conversation out of fatigue. Over time, that leads to loneliness, a known accelerant of cognitive decline. Correcting specific absorption problems often opens the door back to engagement. With more reliable energy, seniors are more likely to join a neighbor for lunch, attend a community program, or continue with hobbies. Those interactions act as protection for memory and mood. Energy in this sense is not an abstract benefit. It underpins the social and emotional resilience that aging communities need most. If the science is this clear, why are these causes so rarely checked? Much of the answer lies in medical practice still being centered on averages. Guidelines list fatigue is normal in older age, so unless blood tests show extreme deficiencies, further exploration stops. Yet research from 2025 highlights that suboptimal absorption is widespread among older adults and often specific to gene variants that block or weaken nutrient processing. Because these limits don't show up in population guidelines, many continue to live with fatigue that could be adjusted. This gap is slowly closing, but it means patients need to ask about it during visits instead of assuming it will be suggested automatically. The personal accounts from those who do uncover and correct their variants are notable. A man in his late 60s, once resigned to napping twice a day, finds himself restoring old woodworking projects with steady focus. A woman in her 70s, often forgetting conversations, reports clearer recall within weeks of changing her B12 supplement form. These are not miraculous recoveries that erase every effect of aging. They are steady, practical improvements in quality of life made possible by matching intake to biology. It is also worth recognizing that not all nutrient hurdles link back to folate or B12. Magnesium, vitamin D, and iron pathways play significant roles too, especially when medication use interferes with absorption. For instance, acid-reducing drugs commonly taken for reflux are known to lower B12 levels further. Cholesterol-lowering drugs can reduce CoQ10, another compound relevant to energy. Addressing fatigue usually means considering multiple influences, and testing is one way to sort which factor deserves the most attention. By reframing fatigue from something to be endured into something worth investigating, seniors take back agency over their health. Asking providers whether genetic or nutrient testing is appropriate is a practical starting point. From there, discussing whether methylated or injectable nutrient forms make sense ensures that any supplement choice has a direct purpose. These questions don't guarantee a result for everyone, but they consistently reveal explanations for many people who never expected clarity. When understood this way, the idea of energy retiring ahead of you looks less convincing. What often looks inevitable is in fact a pattern that can be shifted with small, directed steps. For many, the solution is not restoring decades of youth, but restoring enough stamina to enjoy afternoons without exhaustion, to join family without hesitation, and to continue daily practices that hold independence in place. Energy becomes less of a mystery and more of a resource that can be preserved with the right inputs. And once that energy is back, many discover that sustaining it does not demand an overhaul of their life. Instead, it can follow from steady, accessible habits that support what their biology already needs. Small daily routines, nutrient choices, hydration practices, light movement often compound into long-term resilience. The challenge is not the scale of effort, but knowing which actions matter most. This brings us to the next step: how short, focused practices can play a larger role in reducing risk than most people ever realize. Simple daily protocols that rewind risk. What if 5 minutes every morning could lower your risk of the conditions most feared in later life? Not an hour at the gym, not a shelf full of pills, just a short, consistent protocol that strengthens the body in ways medication alone often cannot. For older adults, especially, these small calibrated steps can shape outcomes for heart health, memory, and physical independence. What makes them powerful is not their complexity, but how closely they align with the way your body actually functions, particularly when informed by DNA. The first cornerstone is hydration, yet it's easy to assume that drinking plain water is enough. While fluid intake matters, Research shows older adults manage electrolytes less efficiently because of kidney changes and certain genetic differences. For some, this means that simply drinking water without replenishing minerals leaves them feeling foggy or lightheaded, especially in the morning. A safer approach is to discuss with a clinician whether a mineralized water or a simple electrolyte solution makes sense. By restoring sodium, potassium, and magnesium balance under professional guidance, seniors reduce the risk of dizziness and falls while supporting nerve and muscle function. It takes virtually no time, but the impact on stability and energy across the day can be noticeable. The second part involves targeted supplements that match each person's biology. Many older adults rely on multivitamins, but some common forms, like folic acid or standard B12, are not fully usable in everyone. Genetic differences, particularly in pathways like MTHFR, mean these versions may sit idle in the bloodstream instead of powering brain and blood cell function. Using active forms such as methylfolate or methylcobalamin bypasses those barriers and ensures the body receives what it can actually use. Clinical reviews show that correcting specific deficiencies with active nutrient forms can improve blood markers tied to cardiovascular and cognitive risk. Taking them first thing in the morning supports smoother metabolism, better alertness, and steadier mood. But it's important to involve a clinician before introducing new supplements, as interactions and dosage sensitivity become more common with age and complex medication lists. A third layer is brief, intentional movement. This isn't a workout class or heavy equipment. It's 5 to 10 minutes of light stretching, ankle rotations, or a short walk around the house. Even this level of motion sends critical reminders to muscles and bones that they are still needed. This is especially relevant for those carrying genetic patterns linked to faster muscle loss, also known as sarcopenia. For them, sedentary mornings accelerate weakness more than for others. Yet by beginning each day with a small routine, they keep muscle fibers engaged, balance more reliable, and bones properly loaded. The commitment is minimal, but the return, greater steadiness, fewer falls, and slower functional decline is significant over time. The final piece is exposure to natural light. Morning sunlight on the skin and eyes anchors circadian rhythm and supports vitamin D synthesis. This is crucial because seniors often struggle with low vitamin D both from reduced sun exposure and from less efficient skin production. Genes such as VDR determine how easily the body uses vitamin D once it's available, and variations can weaken its effects on bone density, immunity, or mood. For those individuals, regular light exposure is even more important. Stepping outside for just 10 minutes after waking not only supports vitamin D status, but also reinforces better sleep at night and more consistent energy during the day. Again, it costs nothing, yet the impact stretches across multiple systems. What stands out about these 4 steps, hydration with minerals, targeted supplements in active forms, light movement, and morning sunlight, is how practical they are compared with the interventions seniors often expect. Healthcare tends to highlight expensive treatments, elaborate pills, or high-tech monitoring systems. But many of the foundational risks tied to aging can be lowered through these simple routines. The key is not intensity but consistency, and ensuring any adjustments like added minerals or new supplements are reviewed with a clinician for safety. Evidence supports the value of keeping protocols this simple. Studies in recent years show that hydration with adequate mineral balance reduces dizziness and hospital visits linked to fainting. Seniors who corrected B vitamin metabolism with active forms improved measurable risk markers tied to heart health and memory decline. Research further connects daily low-intensity movement to stronger grip strength and quicker walking pace, skills that correlate directly with independence. Those who consistently obtained morning sun exposure demonstrated better vitamin D levels and fewer fractures, along with stronger protection against mood disorders. These are modest steps that create measurable change. To visualize this, Return to Joe, the senior who felt exhausted despite spending heavily on supplements. By replacing generic pills with methylated vitamins matched to his genetic needs, using mineralized water on his doctor's advice, committing to a few minutes of motion after waking, and stepping outdoors for sunlight, Joe reclaims energy without extra expense. Over time, the shift strengthens his cardiovascular markers, steadies his mood, and lowers his chance of frailty. None of the changes are dramatic to watch, but to Joe, the difference is clear. He finally feels his daily routine matches his body rather than working against it. One reason these habits prove so effective is that many chronic conditions begin long before they appear on a chart. Dementia develops years before memory problems show. Cardiovascular disease advances quietly before physical symptoms emerge. Mobility decline starts before the first noticeable fall. By applying small preventive inputs each morning, seniors interrupt these trajectories early. It is not about reversing time, but about creating a daily foundation that slows risks long before interventions become costly or urgent. Many older adults assume prevention requires products they cannot afford or medical breakthroughs still in progress. In truth, the most effective practices are those rooted in aligning simple behavior with biological pathways. Hydrate with balanced minerals if it is safe for you. Use only supplements that match your genetic profile and your clinician's advice. Move lightly to maintain muscle and bone signaling and reconnect with natural light. None of these require big purchases or major life changes. They simply require making the first 5 minutes of the day count. As these routines become habit, they blend into life itself. Seniors often find that once actions like stretching, stepping outside, or taking the correct nutrient form become second nature, they stop feeling like extra tasks. They start serving as invisible support systems, keeping daily health steadier without drawing attention. Over the months and years, the effect accumulates: better balance, fewer medication side effects, reduced fatigue, and a clearer mind. When measured against the healthcare costs of falls, fractures, or hospitalizations, the return is difficult to ignore. The quiet irony is that while small DNA-informed rituals can make this kind of difference, many seniors report that when they raise the idea in a clinical setting, they don't always get much traction. They ask whether genetic testing or personalized supplement choices could help, only to receive vague reassurances or quick subject changes. That disconnect leaves many wondering why information that feels useful for prevention doesn't come up more often during routine appointments. It's a gap that shapes their care experience as much as the routines themselves.